Hi, this is Steve Cook. Now, in part one, I told you about Hurricane Ike and how thousands of us watched it make its way across the Atlantic, and how I made the decision to stay. Then, in part two, I took you inside our home that night. I told you what it was like to hear the wind, to lose power, and to look up at our roof, wondering if it was about to come off. It was one of the longest night of my life. But the story doesn't end there. In many ways, it was just the beginning. Now, when the sun finally came up, everything was different. I'll never forget walking outside. Trees that had been standing for decades were lying across the streets. Power lines were everywhere. Traffic lights didn't work. Businesses were closed. The city looked wounded. It was strangely quiet. And the only sounds you heard were generators, chainsaws, and people checking on one another. Now, our power didn't come back on the next day or the day after that. It was weeks. Weeks. You don't realize how much you depend on electricity until you don't have it anymore. No air conditioning. No normal routine. No comfort. Everything took more effort. Everything. And during those weeks, I found myself thinking about something over and over again. Not the storm, the warning. Because the warning had been there. It wasn't hidden. Nobody kept it from me. The meteorologists did everything they could. They showed us the forecast. They even explained the risk. They pleaded with us to prepare. They interrupted television. They interrupted football games. They interrupted everything. Not because they wanted to scare us, but because they wanted to give us time. Time to make a different decision. That's when something changed inside me. I made a promise to myself. Never again would I ignore a hurricane warning. So today, if a storm enters the Gulf of Mexico, I don't wait. I don't debate. I don't tell myself, maybe it'll turn around. I prepare. Sometimes I leave before anyone else around me does. And people have asked me, Steve, aren't you overreacting? Maybe. But I'd rather leave one day too early than 1 hour too late. And you know, life has a funny way of teaching us lessons. And some lessons we learn in school. Some we learn from our parents. And some we only learn after we've lived through something we'll never forget. Hurricane Ike was one of those lessons for me. It changed the way I think. It changed the way I make decisions. It taught me that preparation isn't fear. Preparation is wisdom. Preparation is respect. Preparation is recognizing that there are some situations in life where hoping everything works out isn't a plan. Now, in our next conversation, I want to share something with you that I don't think most people ever stop to consider. Because there are storms in life that don't come with satellite pictures. These are storms that don't have names. And there are storms that arrive quietly, without wind, without rain, without anyone interrupting your favorite television program to warn you. I'll see you in part 4.